of American parents can't find licensed childcare. Businesses may even close because parents miss work to care for their kids. Wonder School can help solve that by making it easier for entrepreneurs to start in-home childcare businesses. Citi is investing in Wonder School to help offer more childcare options, which can help parents return to their jobs and help towns across America get back to work for the love of moving businesses forward, for the love of progress. Citi.
Welcome to the PaleyFest Fall TV Previews. I'm Danielle Canada, Managing Editor of Gossip, and I'm delighted to be your host for this special conversation celebrating OWN's Love and Marriage Huntsville. I'd like to send a special thank you to Citi, the festival's official card and official sponsor, for their help making this program possible. Today, I am thrilled to welcome members of Love and Marriage Huntsville's creative team and cast, Kimmi and Maurice Scott, and of course, executive producer Carlos King. Let's start our program. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello. Now, of course, Carlos, I would love for you to kick us off. Now, Carlos, you have over a decade's worth of experience with some of the most successful reality shows on TV, and fans have rightfully dubbed you the king of reality TV. Why did you want to create programming that speaks to Black women in particular?
For me, I was raised by a Black woman. My mom is somebody who I grew up admiring, being up under. I was obsessed with my mom. I just wanted to be around her all day long. I told my father, I'm her husband, you're not, okay? So that's the relationship that she and I had. And we would watch Oprah Winfrey talk show together, watch soap operas together. And I would eavesdrop on my mom's conversations with her friends. And one thing I know about Black women, they love to talk about their business to their girlfriends. I was engaged in the conversation. And for me, creating programs centering around Black women was important because I knew that the landscape of television did not have many outlets for them to watch. So here I am in this position as a Black man. And I believe when God gives you blessings, is your right and your mission to share it with others. And I wanted to create programming that spoke to them. And I wanted to create programming that my mother could watch. And before she passed, her favorite show, honestly, was Love and Marriage Huntsville. And she would ask me all the time, am I Tisha? You know, do I remind you of Tisha? Because my mom was a housewife like Tisha. So it was those conversations that she and I had that I knew I was on the right path.
Absolutely. And in being on that right path, we have seen you choose some untraditional cities for your shows like Huntsville, Alabama, and Jackson, Mississippi. Can you tell me a little bit about your thought process in choosing these cities in particular?
Yes, I wanted to show the world that not all successful Black people live in Atlanta. Not all Black folks who got money live in the A. So I wanted to show once again the world that successful Black people live in various parts of the world. So Huntsville was a city that was not on my radar. So when I discovered this amazing cast, I said, oh my gosh, the city is a character. These three couples are characters. I knew it was a recipe for success in addition to creating Bell Collective in Jackson, Mississippi. Because once again, I heard of Jackson, but I didn't really know. And to know that those Black women are entrepreneurs, millionaires, CEOs, and their accents just drives me like so wild. I just love it so much. So I wanted, once again, to use my platform to show the world that successful Black people live all over the world.
I love that. And, you know, I'm so glad you brought up the cast that you have on Love and Marriage Huntsville, because that brings me to my next question. What let you know that this crew down here in Alabama would make for good television? And in particular, what stood out to you about Kimmi and Maurice?
So the first question was, when I met Mel and Martell, they were married at the time, and I was intrigued by them as a couple. And long story short, over years of just keeping in touch, when they introduced me to Kimmi Maurice and Maurice's brother Marcel and his wife Tisha, And the fact that they were, at the time, they were like these friends who were like go on couples trips and have these conversations. I was like, oh my God, this is something special. And at the time, they had this amazing initiative called the Comeback Group that was going to produce homes and just tons of opportunities for the low-income housing families and the community. I just love that earnest effort that they organically were doing. And then when I saw a Zoom interview with Kimmi and Maurice, Kimmi, as you know, is a firecracker. And she had blonde hair, honey, and a pink satin dress, child. And she was just like sassy. And, you know, she was like in your face. And I'm like, oh, this girl's a character. And then Maurice, I just love the balance of their relationship. And he's the one who actually mentioned the Comeback Group. He showed us a t-shirt. And when they talked about their relationship, and at the time they were engaged, and I was just so intrigued by this idea of what a blended family looked like. What does it look like for this couple to get married at that time? And it was all of those things that really made the show successful. And that's why I will always say Love and Marriage Huntsville, honestly, and I said this before, and I will continue saying it, it was literally lightning in a bottle. Like it's something that you just can't put together. It was meant to be at that particular time and at this particular network owned.
Absolutely. It was meant to be, it was meant to happen. And we've seen that season after season. Another thing we've seen on Love and Marriage Huntsville, Kimmi, is your courageous battle with breast cancer. You know, you decided to make that public. What did you learn about yourself through your journey, and why did you want to share that on Love and Marriage Huntsville?
I think the biggest thing that I learned about me, because I thought I was pretty strong and pretty resilient personally, but this is a whole different level of resiliency, to be honest. You have so many factors that come into play with such a major life change. And you think not only of yourself, but your family. You know, you want everybody to successfully and emotionally get through this. And so I feel like for me, knowing my stick-to-itiveness, my resilience, my strength, I think was a lot more than I actually gave myself credit for.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, your strength has inspired so many. And I would love to talk about the fan reactions to seeing you battle breast cancer on Love and Marriage Huntsville. And in particular, when it comes to Black women, because this is something important that is, you know, relevant to us.
It's super important. And I think every opportunity I've had to talk about it, I do share that I took a moment to think about it before deciding to go forward with the show. Carlos and the production team was very open to letting me make that decision. Maurice was integral in our conversation about sharing it with other people. And in that, I was able to use that platform to talk to so many of us because we are so disproportionately affected with breast cancer. And even though we're disproportionately affected, on top of that, we don't like to talk about it. Like it's literally one of the silent killers that we have because we don't want to talk about it. So it really opened up the platform for a lot of people to vent, not only publicly, but to me. The outpouring that I got from fans is, I can't even use words, like, and I'm a wordsmith, I believe, yes. But it's even hard for me to put into words the fans that have reacted to the love, the care, lotions, t-shirts, calls, emails, all kinds of stuff. They send stuff to Black, they send stuff to Credit One, and they just want to hug you through the TV, you know? Yeah. And it has given me strength on days where I didn't think I had it. And that's literally on some days that were harder than others. I would open up my email and there would be a nice little email about a success story or somebody who literally just went to the doctor because of our platform. And so I'm grateful. I'm grateful that Carlos and them didn't push me. It gave me the chance to think it through. And I'm grateful my husband had the conversation and that we decided to move forward. Because my goal before this ever even came was to touch one person. That's what we believe in as far as the things we do in the community. And so this was the same. If I could save one life, if I could touch one person, I'm good. And I 100% feel like that has been accomplished.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I love that you made the point that Carlos did not push you to do this, that it was a mutual decision. Carlos, I want to talk more about that. Why did you feel it's important to follow Kimmi's health story on the show?
Well, speaking of my mom passed away due to breast cancer. And unfortunately, she decided to go through it alone. She did not inform me and my siblings or my father. She decided to deal with it quietly. So I knew when Kimmi was diagnosed, I reached out to her and I knew that it was her decision. Because one thing I knew about my mom's situation was, look, that would not have been my decision, but that was her decision to do it her way. And I respect that. And I wanted to give that same clearance to Kimmi, that at the end of the day, our show is to follow the reality. However, when you're dealing with a health crisis, look, shooting the show ain't easy. They work 5-6 days a week, shoot 12 plus hours a day in some situations where it's very intense, you know what I mean? And to deal with something like breast cancer, the environment sometimes may not be applicable to your health journey. So I never wanted to put Kimmi in any situation where she had to be shooting the show and she's missing a doctor's appointment or she forgot to take her medication. I would have felt so guilty if I was somebody who would force people. That's not who I am anyway. Yeah. So we wanted to make sure it was Kimmi's choice. And Kimmi had conversations with her husband, Maurice, with her family. And it was her decision in saying, I have this platform. God gives us things we are able to handle. That's what the Bible says. And I appreciate the fact that she said, what's the point of me having this platform if I'm not going to share my story, in addition to sharing the journey? Because that's two different things. You could tell the story and not share the journey. This woman decided to do both. And that's why I will always give her credit for that.
Absolutely. And when she was sharing this journey, she wasn't by herself. She had her doting husband, Maurice, by her side. And I would love to bring you to the conversation now, Maurice. Now, we saw some aspects of your vibrant marriage rightfully have to shift during this breast cancer treatment. For both of you, how have you managed to adjust your expectations of one another throughout this experience?
For me, it's been difficult because, you have to change your whole life. Like this is one of those moments where when you get married, it says for better or for worse, sickness and health has been all of that. Yeah. And while you're riding the roller coaster the whole time, and I hate roller coasters, by the way, I'm trying to make sure that my wife is settled. She's in a peaceful place. And I try to make sure that I'm taking as much off of her plate as I possibly can. But during this period, she also wants a sense of normalcy in which she's able to work. She doesn't want to feel like a cancer patient. And it's been very difficult managing that balance. However, I can tell you that I've been much more emotionally attached than I've ever been in my life.
Yeah. And I think for us, I feel like I'm the glue in our family. I just do. And so there's a lot of things, even in the beginning, we probably had a fair amount of disagreement because he wanted me to stop work. He wanted me to chill out, sit at home and do this. And I just was like, no, I don't want to sit at home. You know what I'm saying? And literally, I just kept going and going until I had to sit at home. Like, I had to take a break and chill out. But he's right in the fact that I wanted to try to remain as normal as possible because mentally, I felt like physically, I'm young enough to tough this out. It better be me than somebody else. Emotionally and mentally, it's draining. Yeah. And so when I didn't stay busy, I was on the internet. I was Googling stuff. I was reading stuff. And your mind can go to the sunken place. Mm-hmm. And so for us, I think a lot of the transition was me allowing him and Jalen and Monster to like, you know, take some things off my plate, to actually do some of the stuff that I normally would handle. And that was big. For me, that was big.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's a great point about taking things off your plate. For you, Maurice, what is your number one tip for someone to keep a marriage strong when navigating something so heavy like a spouse's cancer journey?
First and foremost, I'd say pray up. You know, you definitely have to get your strength from God, I think. But outside of that, I think that you have to take the day as it comes. And part of that is being sensitive. Yesterday's solution is not today's solution. So what worked yesterday for Kimmi may not work tomorrow, may not even work next week. You may have to get rid of that solution altogether. So you have to remain flexible, open, because you know, you never know what life is going to present to you. However, be there, show up, be present, and the love will show in your action.
Absolutely. And I think for both of you guys, you've always had a strong bond, and that's something we have seen on Love and Marriage Huntsville. How has your bond been strengthened through this experience?
I listen more.
I turmoil is going to happen to everyone.
For sure.
At some point in your relationship. How you manage it is what makes you stronger. So, I mean, people have seen us have disagreements. People have seen things not turn out the way we want it to turn out. An interview gone bad, rogue, or what have you. But how you manage it, how you fix it, how you repair it, how you talk about the after effects, the fallout, is, in all honesty, what has brought us closer. Because it does mean you have to listen. Like, you have to listen and you have to hear the emotion of how it's affecting other people around you. And that goes both ways. Like, while I'm thinking about me, even sick, when I'm thinking about me, I still have to think about my husband, like how he feels. He's the protector, he's the provider. So even in a sick moment, I can't be, oh, you know, I am woman, hear me roar. He wants to help me, let him help me. You know, so I feel like that's taught us a lot about leaning on each other. And we've been so insanely independent since we've met each other. It's brought a whole different level of interdependency to our relationship.
Absolutely. And, you know, Carlos, just to bring you into the convo, one of the things I love seeing on Love and Marriage Huntsville is these real relationships, these real personalities. What does it mean for you to be open and authentic on unscripted television and have audiences really see the ins and outs of relationships?
The purpose of a reality show is to see the reality of these people's lives.
Yes.
And one thing me and my team do a good job at is we find the people who are willing to do that. I think reality TV has become, for some people, a sort of get famous quick scheme that they can do just to like get some followers and meet a man and get an OnlyFans account, right? So that's what they want to do, child. So I know that when it comes to my audience, they want the real. They want to know what is happening inside that house, okay? I need to be a part of your bedroom conversation, your kitchen conversation, pillow talking. They want to know everything. And I'm so protective of my cast because I know it isn't easy to constantly give yourself to the world only for them to judge what they see in a 42-minute episode, right? The cast is right. We shoot for hours. We cut it down to 5 minutes. And there's tons of things that an audience member may not see, which is why we have the reunion for moments to like really bring those things up. But it's hard to be a reality star. I don't take that for granted with my cast. I'm very, very protective of them. And I make sure that they know they have a front door conversation with me when it comes to things that they feel uncomfortable about.
Absolutely. And I think you're absolutely right about the authenticity of it with your shows. For you, what is the most fulfilling thing about sharing these authentic stories?
For me?
For you.
It's the fact that I know someone at home can relate to it. You know, when Kimmi shared her breast cancer story, one of my favorite moments of last season's reunion was when Kimmi shared the story about somebody who worked at a hospital saying, child, this reality star has breast cancer and everybody's asking for a mammogram. You know, that was something that was special to me to know that people not only watch it, but they watch it and they learn something from it. They apply it to their lives. That's why one of the hardest things in the world is to find people to be on reality TV, to give that level of authenticity, that level of comfort in showcasing their lives. This is not an easy job. And I get in trouble for saying this, and I'll say it anyway. My reality stars are much braver than any entertainer in the world because actors can hide behind a character. Musicians can hide behind a song, right? Influencers can hide behind a TikTok. To be a reality star is the most courageous entertainment outlet in the world because you are literally giving your lives to the world, and you have to be strong enough to deal with the backlash. Hey, Maurice, the commentary. Listen, I tell them all the time, don't read the comments, but I also know being a public figure, it's easier said than done. Mm-hmm. And you are curious in terms of what people may say. And every once in a while, you're like, well, do they have a point? And you sort of say, no, it's hard. It's hard. But that's why they deserve everything in the world, because they have the toughest job in the business.
Absolutely. Well, Carlos, thank you for bringing these courageous people to Love and Marriage Huntsville. And Maurice and Kimmi, thank you guys for being so courageous and sharing your stories. I mean, it really is television to watch. So thank you guys so much. Thank you for joining us for the special PaleyFest Fall TV Previews conversation with OWN's Love and Marriage Huntsville. And thank you once again to Citi for their support. You can enjoy more of these programs by clicking the subscribe button below. Thank you and take care.